Trying to figure out what's going on here. I think I know what happened. Okay, anyway, here we are. My name is John Rudder. I'm the founder of High Desert Outdoors. We're a small production-based company here in New Mexico. We're based on faith, family, and friends, and the outdoors.
Okay.
I got a delay. It's messing me up. Sorry. Yeah, this is our first podcast. I'm here today with Ric Sho. Ric Sho is a team member of High Desert Outdoors. He's the main contributor, and Rick is an avid hunter. He's a call maker, a music producer. He's a really talented individual, and I'd like to bring Mr. Sho on now. All right, I got rid of that stupid.
There I am.
Yeah, I took you off the stage so I could. We're just figuring this all out. This is all new to us.
Yeah, it's new to me.
Yeah, I've done a few of these with a couple other groups, but this is kind of our first trial run of our High Desert Outdoors broadcast. This is Mr. Ric Sho. He's our one of our main contributors to the team. He's been a part of High Desert Outdoors since a long time. I mean, I've known Rick we're real good friends. We go back a while. I've done some hunting together. He's a music producer. He does a lot of things. He's a cook. He's been on TV cooking chicharrones, and he makes custom calls. He loves hunting. His kids are Marines. He's a really good dad. And so, Rick, what got you into the outdoors, Rick?
Well, I think for me, it's when my grandfather took me out, like back in the 80s, dude. And it was real simple back then, and we always talk about it. It's funny the way we went. They're old 30-30, flannel shirts, botas, and Levi's, you know what I mean?
Hey, man,
a pot of beans,
That's how we run dogs, brother.
And so
change, yeah.
Yeah, so I started off with them young. That just was part of our heritage, and just what he enjoyed. Of course, he's from he was born in the 30s, so he passed away in 87. But he really enjoyed it, so he showed us how to go out there and harvest animals, and his philosophy was always whatever's legal, take it. Whatever's presented at that time, take it. It's a blessing. He was half Native American, half Apache, half Spanish. So for him, he was really in tune with the line, and really in tune with the earth, and as well as with hunting. That was part of his culture as well. So that's basically where I started. And then things happen, life happens, and I didn't get back into it till I was about 35 with my kids, and that's what started the passion. Went out duck hunting, and we contacted you because we knew that you were involved in TV and stuff like that, and just trying to navigate through the game and fish and stuff like that to be able to hunt. And I was like, oh, I missed the draw, but then you told me, hey, you know what, you can go hunt ducks and all kinds of stuff, and you helped me out a lot in that aspect. But yeah, I mean, it was pretty much my grandfather that got me into hunting when I was a kid. My uncle Dave, he was a knife maker, avid hunter, passed away while he was hunting. My Uncle Dave Campos, everybody knew him. He was bow hunting when bow hunting was with the those 150-pound compound bows.
Oh yeah.
And so it was just in our family. Everybody went hunting. It was a big family thing. And once my grandfather passed away, it's like kind of like stopped. And each individual family member went out and hunted on their own, and so it was just different. But
that's sad. When we lose a lot of our grandparents or our elders in our families, they're like the glue that holds them together. And I've noticed the same thing happens to a lot of families around. When they lose your elders, your grandparents that were showing you the old ways, well, they were hunting to feed you guys. That's what my grandpa would do. He would hunt to feed us. Yep. And it's just we lose touch with a lot of family traditions when we lose those elders.
Yeah, we lose, and we also lose a lot of respect amongst each other, and a lot of respect for the land and for the animals themselves. That's the real one reason why I kind of stopped and stopped my contract. You already know that whole story. I kind of stopped my contract as a pro staffer for some individuals. No need to mention any names, but they were pretty big outfit, and it's just a lack of respect that they have for animals. I didn't grow up that way, and New Mexico has a rich culture, rich history that we're all part of. I mean, our roots are here, and so for me, it's more of the respect of the animal and respecting individuals, and how they hunt. I really don't care as long as it's legal, and that goes, whether it's hound hunting. I really enjoy hound hunting with you guys, duck hunting, big game, small game, whatever, And so for me, that's basically the way it was for me. Is I just wanted to keep it, and that's the whole reason why we're doing this, is because we want to show people here how we do it,
Yeah,
as opposed to how TV does it,
That's right. We want to keep it real and New Mexico true, and we're about passing these traditions on to
Yes,
our kids
yes,
and
most
and
definitely.
and our grandchildren. And
Yep.
you got a daughter and a son, correct?
Yes, I have 3 children together. The oldest one isn't really a hunter, but the 2 younger ones, man, those ones were like 2 peas in a pod when we were out there, and we got to harvest, a couple animals, and it was just an experience that they'll never forget, and we still carry on the traditions that we had when we started, hunting on New Year, on Christmas or Christmas Day, or hunting on the holidays, that's how we did it, but yeah, my kids, they freaking absolutely love it, and I taught them the way my grandfather taught me,
Yeah.
hunt with what you have, get out there and have fun and make memories. You don't need the latest and greatest things that are out there, as long as you go out there with the will, and and you go out there with the good spirit. You always have to have a good spirit when you go out there, man. You always have to, to be up on that, and to be able to, harvest an animal. I mean, that's the way I feel. I mean, it's different for everybody. I'm just
Yeah,
speaking for myself.
yeah, you got to enjoy everything out there. I mean,
Yeah.
from the ladybugs crawling on the flowers to the elk bugling in the crisp morning air. I mean,
Yeah. Whatever you see.
it's all
Yeah.
part about, you got to enjoy the whole thing in the morning. That
Yep.
best, when the light is best, when it comes up early in the morning. That's like the best light of the day, and the animals are waking up and coming around. And if you're not seeing nothing, just sitting there and listening to the birds is part of the memories being made. And
Yeah.
that's part of the experience, and it's a major part of the experience. The
It's
harvest
my
is
grandpa.
the easy part. Yeah.
I used to tell my grandpa, "Hurry up, grandpa, hurry up," and he'd tell me in his broken English, he would tell me, "Shut up and pay attention."
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
now I
Shut
know
up.
why, because yeah, shut up and pay attention, Rick, pay attention. He would tell me, and I'd be like, "Grandpa, grandpa, let's go." And it was weird because he was waiting. I think what I believe is he was waiting for the sun to come up and enjoy that day, that day that God has given us to see another day, And I
Oh
think
yeah.
that's what he enjoyed. He died young. He died when he was 52. That's our age,
Oh yeah.
And
That's younger than me. I mean, that's
yeah,
still a young guy.
yeah. So he died young, but he was out there enjoying that sun coming up in the morning,
He was saying his morning prayer and
Yep,
letting that sun come up and enjoying that
yep,
first light of the
exactly.
day.
And that's what he would tell me, to shut up, Rick. And then
Yeah.
I would, and I learned, you don't realize how much you learn from the elders. I learned that with my kids. Like, I always thought that they were just messing around and weren't paying attention, and comes to find out that they learned a lot, and they hey dad, this is how we, and you see them, when you see them operating out there, even, it's like they know what to do, it's like automatic for them, it's very interesting. I think that's what I enjoy the most. The hunt out of the hunts is just watching them prepare, getting ready. It's like they paid attention to everything, and
And when you're trying to show them, you really don't think they're paying too much attention to what you're actually doing. But when they get older, you see, hey, wow,
yeah,
he actually was watching me and learned something,
yeah,
which is great because you passed it down.
yeah. And it's just like, it's automatic. It's like they never forget. It's like riding a bike,
That's right.
it's like they're ready to go. And you have one on the camera, one, one glassing, and it's just a team. It's a team thing, and I think that's what I enjoy the most about my hunting with my kids. And I mean, even hunting with you, it's the same thing. We have fun. We have a lot of fun, and
Oh yeah,
it's like,
it's more laughs than shooting.
Yeah, and it never changes. It's like we already know what to do. You know what I mean? It's like it's just embedded in us. It's ingrained in our psyche. You know, and it's awesome. You know, it's hunting is awesome. I love it. It's I live it, breathe it, sleep it, need it, man. I
I'm not,
literally, you know what I mean?
I
It's
got
literal
turkey
for us.
fever really, really bad right now. I
Yeah,
can't get
so do
turkey
I.
in my head, man. I'm painting decoys, and I don't know. I don't need all this stuff, but
And you, I mean, so like you got me into that turkey thing, man. It was like, well, why don't you go hunt turkeys? And I was like, man, I don't know anything about turkeys. And then we got together, and you showed me how to hunt turkeys, and it took me 6 years to harvest a turkey, especially in the Rio. You know that, but it's difficult. I mean, you could. I tell people all the time, that's like, you know, you can come out here and think you're gonna shoot one, but definitely you better be prepared to walk and to hunt and to sit for a long time, because it's not like it is anywhere else. I think that's what brings us back, is you don't know if you're gonna harvest in the Rio Grande every year. You know what I mean?
oh no,
It's just
it's not like hunting field birds or nothing.
no,
It's not hunting the Miriams up in the mountains either. Yeah, that
no.
first morning I took you out, and we got like about 75 yards underneath a roost, and that bird was on fire, man. And
Yeah,
we were moving just a little too much when he got ready to pitch, and he took off in the
yeah.
other direction. But
We were set up pretty good, man.
yeah,
Yeah, and then
that was cool.
the next day I went out. I was right under them. You know, they were right. I was like
You were too
right.
close. Yeah, I've been there before in Rio Dosa,
Yeah,
right underneath the roost in the dark, like
yeah,
at
right
4 in the
there.
morning.
You know,
And when I woke up, you could hear their wings hitting the tree up above me. I was like, oh man,
you
they're
know,
right
and
on top. Get down.
I missed so many birds, dude. Like, you know, like the last 2 years before this bird, man, it was like right in the face. And I just figured out now that you don't aim when you're close up. When you get them that close, you don't aim for the head, because they move so much, and your pattern is so tight. You got to hit them right below the breastplate. You know, right below their beard. You know. And
Yeah,
so you can get all of that area. It'll get all that. It'll eventually it'll hit. You know, that's where you want to aim. And I didn't know that. You know. And so finally this year, after many trials and failures, I said, you know what? I'm not going to aim for the head no more. You know.
yeah.
And
Got to aim
I had
low,
one at
especially
yeah,
at 20 yards. You know.
no, and I've had them closer than that, and I'm like, what the heck? You know, how in the hell did I miss them? You know, I used all the right ammunition, everything. Thought it was this, thought it was that. No, it's just they're quick, man. You know, they're
It's,
always moving.
yeah, yeah, they're really fun to chase around the woods.
Yeah,
I think chasing Rio Grandes in the Bosque of New Mexico is absolutely one of my favorite hunts.
yeah, it is. You see them, you know where they're at, and it's the challenge of getting them to you. You know, that's the thing.
Yeah,
You
that's
could,
all
you
it
know,
means.
and yeah, it's a challenge. You know, I know. I mean, shit, like.
Yeah, it's tough. Hey, I when I started turkey hunting, really, and I really started getting into it, I was like, I'm not going to kill a bird. I'm not going to pick up a shotgun till I shoot a bird with my bow.
Yeah,
And it took me 7 years to shoot a bird with my bow. But in that 7 years, I gained a plethora of
yep.
knowledge about turkeys. And then after that, I picked up my shotgun. And even though I shoot a shotgun, I miss every year.
Man,
It's always usually the first bird, and I always miss it. And it seems like
it is.
ritual to me.
And for me, like, I think it was 2016 when I started, when I was part of this pro staff for High Desert Outdoors. Um, what was crazy about it is that I went to Rio Doso, and you gave me some really good spots, you know, and I had to went and scouted a bunch and did my due diligence, and they looked at everything and stuff. And that's when I took my bow, and I was like, hey,
Yeah.
when I called you, I was like, dude. I hit one, and you're like, right on, dude, right on. And I was like, no, but he flew away with my
Yeah.
bow. You know what I mean? I was just like, I was so discouraged after that. You know, I didn't even want to hunt turkeys after that, you know? And so, yeah, it's been, you know, I've been hunting turkeys for 10 years and barely harvested one last year, you know? And so it's like, it's an addicting feeling. It's great because I'm not trying to be the best hunter out there, you know, at all whatsoever. I'm just trying to go out there and have fun and show other people that, you know, you can have fun and you don't have to always harvest. I think that's what what the media has done now, and the entertainment industry has shown that you have to harvest every month, every year that you go out, and multiple animals, and I've seen how it's done. If it wasn't for, and I'll say this, and this doesn't reflect high desert outdoors. This just reflects my personal opinion about it. I just want people to understand that what my opinions don't reflect what we do as a team, right? If it wasn't for New Mexico, and we talked about this before, after your ordeal, after you decided to leave, uh, the
Yeah,
the
TV
the,
show.
the
Yeah.
yeah, the TV show as well. And so for me, it's like, if it wasn't for New Mexico Outfitters and Guides, there wouldn't be any TV, because out here we have really good animals. They're all over the place, and
Oh yeah.
credit goes to those guys. They work hard, they work long hours, and I think for me, they don't get the respect from these individuals that they should. It's all about them, right? Of course, it's always going to be always about them, but I think it's about, and that's what the whole, what I've been doing and stuff like that in my career, not my career, but what I've been doing with my game calls and stuff like that is, I pro staff multiple people in multiple states for, that are guides, and I figured out, what, I get hit up a lot by these individuals that are on TV and stuff like that. Hey, you got some new calls, whatever, but mine go directly to the guides and outfitters, because if it wasn't for them, I wouldn't be where I'm at on the national stage at all without these guys, and I really appreciate what they do for me. They send good feedback, real feedback, not just posts with pictures. These guys actually tell me, hey, this call doesn't work. This one's a little bit crappy, or whatever. And so I go back into the lab and start doing my stuff, but yeah, so for me, it's just, that's the way I look at things. And it's a good experience. Hunting is about having fun, and about putting in your work. You can't expect people, even if I were to give these guys my honey holes that we've been hunting for years, the animals aren't going to be there. You still got to find them. They're
Yeah.
not always going to be in the same place. You got to know where the water's at. You got to look at the weather. You got to look at all different things, that are all different aspects of what's going on in the mountains before, if there's vegetation or if there's not vegetation. Some water holes pop up out of the middle of nowhere, and you're wondering why you don't see them in the same place. That happened to me in the Ladrones, man. I
Yeah.
went out there and I said, where are they? So I took a ride somewhere else. There's a big old water hole in, like maybe 20 yards off of the road that I couldn't see. But when I got out of my vehicle and went to go look, man, I was like surprised. I was like, well, no wonder why they're not here. They don't have to be anywhere else but here. Here's the water,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah. You gotta find, like, especially, yeah, in the mountains, you gotta figure what they're feeding on, like you say, where the water is. I remember one year I had gone up with an old teammate that was on the team, and we had put a blind in the mountains, and we went back up in there to hunt. We had put it up like a month or 2 months before turkey season began, and we went back up there to hunt, and it had snowed like a couple weeks before that, and it had collapsed the blind down, and the blind made a big bowl, and it filled up with water, and so our blind just ended up a big camouflage bowl in the middle of this ridge.
Yeah.
And there was creeks down below, but there was no sign. We're like, where are all the tracks? Where are all these birds tracks at? And when we got up to the blind, we realized nobody was going down in the canyon to drink. Everything was coming and drinking out of our pool blind that we made.
That's what happens. It's hunting, and it's
Yeah.
like, it's not the people say, oh, it's these people being here. Like, for me, I'll use other people hunting and other hunters to my advantage, because they're pushing the birds away from wherever they're pushing them for, and that's where they're going to be, right? So for me, it doesn't bother me if there's other people out there. I look at the weather source, at the water source, and I always look at the weather, what it's going to be like, and what it was, and how hot it was. And I have the good thing to do, what I would suggest people do is get a diary, and that's what I do in duck season. I have, that's what I do. I write how it was like last year for ducks. Man, there was hardly any ducks. You had to really, really get on them, to find them. And so, I went to the same sources that I went to, but you have to really look at everything and all your surroundings and keep tabs on it. It's not just about going out there and, oh, well, where are they at? Because, yeah, it changes, and you have brush in one area that you didn't have it in the next area. Some places might have got burnt out a little bit, or they might have done some cutting, or
Yeah.
just different things, and you have to be out there and look at the stuff all the time to be able to determine where everything's at.
Yeah, everything changes, especially on the Bosque. Everything changes
Oh yeah.
dramatically on a year-to-year basis.
Yep.
It's just the only thing you can count on that's constant is the agricultural growers along there that
Yeah.
grow winter wheat and different kinds of crops and stuff like
Yeah,
that.
you gotta
That the
really look at
wildlife
those
go
crops.
into. Yeah, you
Yeah,
gotta
you got
really.
to look at those crops. And that's what I'm doing when I'm out there. People think I'm out there looking at the river. The river is going to be the river. It's going to be hard to get in there regardless, right? I'm looking at what they're planting on the crops, because that's going to determine where the turkeys are at. If you're planting alfalfa, you're not going to see them there. And it changes from year to year. As you know, we have property out there as well. So
Yeah,
sometimes they plant corn, sometimes they plant chili, sometimes they plant, different types of stuff. So, they're not always the same. So that will determine where the birds are, and they keep moving. Those things
yeah.
move and move and move.
And you'd be surprised how far like a turkey will move just in a day. I mean,
Yeah,
they will move miles in a day. I never really realized that till a couple of years ago. I was like, wow. I seen a lone hen like 5 miles away from where I was the morning before, and then when I went in, I was like really looking at that hen with my binoculars, like that really looks like that hen I saw, and it was that hen I saw, and she was like
yeah,
5 miles down by like where you got your bird, and
yeah,
I was hunting down in my spot farther south away from there,
yeah.
but it
And
was
there's
that
a
same bird.
there's a place I know where there's a good group, but we need a boat, and that's where they're
I got
moving.
both.
Yeah, and that's where they're moving. They're moving into that one area down there that's fenced off, and there's no other way to get in there but by boat, and that's where they're headed. And that's just the way it is. And those and that area isn't hunted. It doesn't. They don't. Nobody hunts that area. I've been on that. I've been on one side of the river in the Jarales area. I mean, there's a long stretch of river that nobody hunts. And that's where those animals are going, man.
Yeah,
And
yeah,
it's
a
it's
lot of them go
difficult.
in there.
Yeah, I mean, it doesn't. For me, it's like one year they were roosted in our tree. That big old cottonwood tree down there that we have.
Mm. Yeah, on
Yeah,
the
they
front.
were roosted. They were roosted right in that tree early. And I was duck hunting, and I opened my door to my vehicle, and it squeaked a little bit, and I heard a really small gobble up there, and I was like, "Dang, man!" Then I was shine the lights when I came back off the river, and I was looking, off the river. I was looking. I was like, "Are those chicken? Those aren't chicken. Those aren't chicken tracks. That's a big rooster." And sure enough, my mother-in-law said, "No, there's we've been seeing some turkeys around here." So,
Yeah. Yeah,
but
they go onto the private lot. I've seen them on people's porches and stuff sometimes.
both of us did.
Oh yeah, I think we were together that day, maybe.
Yeah. Is,
I'm
is
not
that a
sure.
turkey? You're like, look at that, and there was like three of them on that dude's property and over there in that area, man. It was
Yeah,
it was hilarious.
it's funny.
Yeah,
They
it's great.
they're fun to pursue, and I mean it's always a fun hunt.
Yeah, it
Hopefully,
is.
hopefully have some success this year.
I'm
Hey Rick,
addicted.
yeah, me too. I'm addicted to turkey hunting. You also got a book out, don't you, on some waterfowling about
Yes, I
waterfowling?
do.
Yeah,
Yep,
good.
I wrote a book to help people out on the river. This story goes back when my kids, when I was calling you and asking you, and you're like, well, I really haven't duck hunted a lot, and you gave me some guidance on how to do that. But the duck hunting community is, and I'm gonna say it, I don't give a shit. They're divas, bro. They don't want to tell anybody anything. They want to be the best, and I go through that stuff now, even though that I'm a seasoned duck hunter. I'm not a professional. I never claimed to be a professional, but I do smack ducks. That's what I'm good at, and that's what my kids are good at. And we didn't harvest our first duck for like 2 years, and we tried
Yeah,
everything. It's just, and you have to follow. So I wrote a, and that's the reason why I wrote a book, is to let people know that you don't need high dollar duck calls to do that. You can get a duck call for $9 at freaking start off with that, at from Walmart or whatever, and and you don't need you do need camo, you do need to cover up. I know that for sure. You got to make sure
yeah.
that you're covered up
Camo is
with those.
important for pretty much any kind of bird species. Camo is
Any
a
kind of, because they
vital
they see,
key.
yeah, they see 10 times better, 10 times better than humans, the ducks
Yeah,
do.
Yeah,
so they can see you.
any bird is pretty much a really visual animal.
Yes,
They don't have a really great hearing. I mean, better than ours, but not really great hearing,
but
and they don't have no sense of smell really. But
no,
their vision is
it
second
is
to none.
insane. It's yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, it's like looking
you
at somebody with binoculars.
and you guys,
So
when you started out, you didn't even have no deeks or nothing, and you guys were successful on the river.
we did spot and stock
Yeah,
and water swatting. We'd wait till they landed and water swatted. People look down on that, but you know what? I tell people, when the natives were hunting animals, they didn't have those types of social rules, right? They just had the rule of survival, right? Of course, we have to follow game and fish rules at
yeah,
the same time, and they look down on people who, oh, I only let the birds land and this and that. Well, to brag if they want to brag, well, I shoot them out of the sky doing 55 miles an hour because that's how we had to learn. And it
yeah.
still made people mad, no matter how we hunted, no matter how we hunted as sniped hunting outlaws. And the reason why we started that is because we hunted unconventionally. We didn't have decoys. I didn't have a lot of money for decoys at the time and blinds and all of this and that. I had two kids I had to outfit with shotguns and stuff like that. And so for me, I got a really bad taste in my mouth for duck hunting. And we kind of just started, anyways. So, for me, I wanted to make sure that people could understand that, you can shoot them out of the sky. There's nothing wrong with that. And that's what we do. I mean, that's what makes me successful, is that I get in their flight paths. I study them throughout the whole year. You already know
Yeah,
that. And
you learn those
yeah,
flyways. You learn the flyways
yeah,
in these places, and that's where you know where to go and be when at the right
yeah.
times of
Be where you
year.
need to be. You watch them. You go out there in September. You watch the tills. The tills are going to tell you where those ducks are going to be, where they're not going to be. And I taught my kids. I said, you know what? We're just going to have to shoot them out of the sky. We didn't have a dog. I was the dog. I had to go in there when they shoot
That's
them.
always
And
fun. Hey, I got hounds, man, and I don't have a. I like to bird. I like to do upland, and I don't have a dog to retrieve. And I tell you what, shooting doves and finding them is quite the job sometimes.
no, yeah, and that's true. Practicing, like, if you go into I learned that practicing shooting with the single shot. I usually go duck hunting with a single shot, right? And that helps me with my waterfowl. Because you only have one shot, so you have to take more of a chance. And so, man, I remember when I first we would first duck hunted me and my kids. We would waste so many shot shells, and now we pick our shots so we don't waste as many, right?
Yeah,
And but there's a lot of, for me, duck hunting is what I love doing, because there's just so much involved in that with me and my kids, right? It's more, for me, it's more something that had to do with my kids. And our first animals that we harvested were ducks, right? And cranes. um Cranes were probably the first ones that we harvested, because we weren't good at duck hunting, right? We just didn't really know how to do anything. But shoot, after what, 15 years of researching and failure, that's what I tell people. And they tell me, well, how did you get so good on the river? Failure, man. I barely just
yeah,
been really, really successful in the last 4 years, that I haven't had my kids, well, longer than that, I haven't had my kids here with me, because it was always making sure that they harvested before myself, right? I wanted
oh
to make
yeah,
sure that my kids experienced that. And so now I'm getting better at it for myself, because for them, taking them out and guiding them and helping them, they were successful, which that's the way it should be, right? You should make sure that your kids are successful before you. And now I'm getting the chance to enjoy the hunting, myself now. But duck hunting is like my life, man. That's something that just is, I get out there, I watch that sunrise, I thank the Lord for the day. It's beautiful. The river is beautiful. I'm grounded in there. I'm grounded in the Rio Grande in so many different ways. It's culturally, spiritually, and just being a hunter and taking my kids out. So for me, duck hunting is the ultimate. And it's not about over here. It's not about bagging greenheads. You're not going to come out here and tag out on hit your limit on greenheads. If you do, more power to you, but you probably stayed 3 or 4 days trying to do that, because I've tried it.
oh
and,
yeah,
and mine's always mixed bags, you know what I mean? I think for me it's mixed bags, because I'm just like, I'm still like a kid out there, and I think that's how people should experience it. Once you lose once you lose the inner child of duck hunting, then you're on another level. You're whatever, and it's not a bad thing. But I'm saying for me, I don't ever want to lose that childlike feeling in the river when I shoot ducks. I
or
really don't.
yeah, or
Or
doing it with anything in life. If you
yeah,
lose
anything.
that childhood spirit within you, I mean, it kind of takes away your passion for
Yes.
things,
Yeah, it does. You're correct, 100% correct. So for me, it's like just it doesn't matter, man. I have a really deep respect for ducks. I mean, their eyesight, they fly fast. They're smart. They're beautiful. For me, it's like you look at a wood duck, or you look at any duck. For me, it's even coots. Coots are water chickens. Basically. And a lot of the first flack I got from the duck hunting community is like, "Oh, you eat those," and blah blah blah. And I'm like, "Hey, look, they don't call Grubhub to come and eat steaks, dude. All ducks eat mud. All ducks eat bugs. All ducks
All
eat
ducks
whatever.
are
They
bottom feeders.
they're bottom feeders. That's
Hmm.
why they taste so good, like a catfish. You know what I mean? And so I heard one guy on a TV show saying, "Well, the wood duck is the best tasting, and this and that." And I'm like, you know what? I've had some ducks, some mud ducks that have tasted really really good. I've had some mallards that have tasted foul, and for me, it's whatever they're eating, right?
Yeah,
If they're eating that,
it depends what their diet is, or where they're
uh,
coming from,
yeah,
what they're eating there, and the transition through when they're migrating through. It
I
just
tell you what,
has a
if
lot
they're
to do.
if they're eating those silvery minnows, you're gonna have a bad tasting duck, dude. you know, you
Hey,
know what I mean?
I've had, I've only been duck hunting maybe. I've been twice, and we we've tried to film a duck hunt, and the whole morning we froze our butts off, got wet,
Yeah,
put like 30 decoys out there, and shot one duck.
yeah, that's how it
And
is in New Mexico.
I was like, this isn't for me. I'm freezing my ass off eating ramen noodles at 3 o'clock in the morning in the woods, walking around the water, putting deeks out. And then we had got one another time. Me and another one of my buddies, he happened to have a duck license, like we jump shot it, and he we took it back to the house, and he fried that bad boy up with some ramen noodles, man. And
Yeah,
that duck tasted like mud, and it was like chewing
yeah,
on rubber bands, man.
yeah.
I was like, oh, this is why I don't hunt ducks, but I've never had one prepared properly.
I'll
Is
have to do that for you when we go out one of these days. I've developed this. I developed a seasoning a long time ago on how to season the ducks. You know, and for me, it's like there's a special way to cook them. You gotta cook them, and people eat them, medium rare and stuff like that. And I
You
wouldn't
gotta
do
bake
that.
'em. We fried it like it was a chicken.
Yeah, I mean you
That
can
just
do
made
that.
it made it tough though, is what it
Yeah,
did. But we were
no, we
drunk
cook them
too,
slow.
so
If
yeah,
you
you
cook
gotta
them
be
slow,
slow.
you're good. But yeah, that's if so I can't stay. I you know how it is. I can't stay sitting for all day on some decoys. So I'll set my decoys up in the morning. If I pop a couple of ducks, I'm good. I get up and I start hitting the river, and I'll get on them. I'll get on them banks, and I start looking at the river, and I'll come back the next day and make a plan. And I'll start spotting and stalking them and catching them when they fly over the river and watching that and that's how I'm successful. Or there's little ponds in there. There's little tiny ponds that fill up with they fill up from the bottom, right?
Yeah,
They're
there's sheep holes hidden in the
yeah,
bosky and places, and
exactly. And you just clean out that.
they're stashed.
Yeah,
You know,
and that's what I'm saying. But you know what? Those ducks, that's where they land.
that's where
You
they
got to
go and
imagine they
live.
can see those things, from as high as they are. They can see those things,
Yeah, they see
So
them from the
they're
air.
yeah, and they come right in and they land. I've seen them land in maybe 10 by 10 little puddle, and I started saying, you know what? I'm gonna clean that out. I'm gonna sit in the morning. I'm gonna come and sit in the morning, and sure enough, well, it's not luck. It's just that's where they're flying at. Sometimes they hit the same pond, sometimes they don't. So
Yeah.
I'm constantly moving in that bosque.
Yeah, with anything that you're pursuing in there,
Yeah.
actually, you got to move around quite a bit, because it's not gonna be in the same place it was
No.
the day before. I mean, except for like the raccoons, as far as dogs go, and we run in raccoons. The raccoons tend to stay in certain areas, or like you say, with any other game, they'll migrate. When the cornfields are up, you'll find them closer to them and that, but they don't really move around a lot. But everything else is really kind of, because it's an ancient travel route.
Yeah.
So it's always like constant moving.
there's a lot of energy that moves through there,
Yeah,
a lot of energy.
there is a lot of energy on that river.
So if you're not in good, and if you're not in good spirit and you hit that river, you're not going to like it.
It's gonna eat you up.
you're, you're going to get, you're going to
Find
freak
yourself
out, and you're going to see,
army crawling through the Russian olives and
yeah,
belly crawling
yeah.
through God knows what
You're
sometimes.
going to, you're going to see some things that you're not used to, and you're probably not going to like it, because that river is definitely enchanted. I'll tell you that much. It's 100%.
I got one of my houndsman buddies. He's all he's wondering who's going to be the first of everybody to find a body on the river. I was like,
Eesh.
dude, I don't want to experience that. I told him I've been going on the river since I was a little boy, and I never have. So you probably never will either, But
No,
that's
I
just the
have
way
a
his
story.
morbid mind is.
So there was one year where me and my son, he saw some cottontails, right? And he we whatever, we were duck hunting. We pitched to the right in this one area, and about a couple of weeks later, to the left, off of about 100 yards, they found somebody there. So it was like,
Oh yeah,
then that was a big case, and it was weird, man. It was totally weird. Luckily, we pitched the other way. You know what I mean? Because
yeah,
that's
that's
just,
crazy. I mean,
yeah,
I found stolen cars and
yeah,
burned up cars, stolen cars, stripped down.
dirty short days.
Those are from the partiers at night, man. They're out there doing their thing at night. That's why you find
Yeah.
their showcase. Yeah, dirty people, man.
Yeah, crazy.
Crazy. Yeah, I'm and your calls. You want to speak a little bit on your calls and talk about what's going on with the Nuevo Mexico Cazadores and
So I started Nuevo Mexico Cazadores, so that's New Mexico Hunters in English, but it's Nuevo Mexico Cazadores because for me, I'm from New Mexico, born and raised in Valencia, New Mexico, and we needed our own. We needed our own brand. We have brands from all over the other place, but nothing more fitting than having our own brand of calls and our own guides and outfitters using the calls, right? And everybody else in between. And for me, it was just starting off in my garage. By trade, I'm an engineer. Discipline is in medical gas and and compressed air. But I did R&D, a lot of R&D, right? A lot of R&D engineering. So it's research and development. And I'm already getting older. I'm tired of doing side work, refrigeration units and all that stuff. I started thinking, what am I going to do, right? And I was like looking around. I'm like, man, I work in a machine shop. Like, I'm building parts for machines. I'm building the parts for the machines and building the machines, right? So I started thinking, and I started researching game calls, and I was like, this is amateur hour compared to what I built in my career, right? So I started, of course, got a small lathe, a CNC lathe, and started working on there and developing calls, right? Looking at the different reads and stuff like that. It started back in 2020 is when we started it. That's the whole reason for the XXXX, right? The 4X's.
Yeah.
So yeah, and I also wanted to put affordable calls in people's hands. As you know, they're very affordable, but good quality. You go buy a $9.99 duck call and it's plastic. It's not anything that you can really use over and over again, right? So I started sourcing the raw materials and started sourcing different reeds and stuff like that, and then putting some prototypes together and sending them out here and there. Big shout out to Corey Sexton of Land and Enchantment Trophy Hunts. That guy, he volunteered to take some out on his elk hunts and stuff like that, right? And his deer hunts and stuff like that. And so it started there, and then other people started getting a hold of me, and I started making more and more, and then just started developing a call. And then I said something, I remember, because I have a pretty good memory. I remember I was in my shop, and I was doing, I think, a live, and I said that I was going to make and of course you've always been the one to support me anyways, so you've been a big supporter, like always pushing me to do whatever in hunting like crazy. So I know
you could do anything. Anybody can do anything as long as you put your mind to it and try. You will be successful.
So it was like you said, you know what, dude, if you build a crane call, that's gonna set the stage for something bigger than what you have right now. And so it did. It took me a year to develop a crane call. Duck calls, they sell amongst people. I sell them all over the nation, but that's a hard market to get into because you have
Yeah.
so many divas, and I'm a professional duck caller or whatever, right? So it doesn't matter to me. I just remember when I was trying to buy calls for my kids, and they were so expensive, you know what I mean? Because they had a name on them. They
Yeah.
had somebody's name on them or this or that. And so it was pretty much, we couldn't afford them. So we would buy what we could buy, right? So I figured, I want to put some affordable game calls in people's hands. And when I developed the crane call, I got a lot of criticism from individuals who didn't understand our history, and didn't understand that you and I were in New Mexico when we couldn't hunt cranes federally. It was a federal offense
Yep.
at the time in the 80s, 70s, and 80s to even hunt them. They were almost extinct, from what I remember. There was not like there is right now. You know
No,
what I
you
mean? There
wouldn't
was
see them by the hundreds and thousands
no.
like you do
You'd
now.
see not all. The only time you would see them, even when we went to Bosque del Apache, you didn't see as many as you see now. You wouldn't see them like that.
Yeah, you'd see a few back like on the honor farms fields once in a
Yeah.
while back in the 80s and stuff, but nothing like nowadays.
Yeah, and my grandpa would
So
see
much
them
more.
they would land on our property in Valencia, and my grandpa would say, qué bonito ese pájaro, that's a beautiful bird.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the ones that were the whooping cranes that had the colors on them, right? They had the real bright colors on them. And so you encouraged me to start building a crane call, and I said, man, what am I going to do? So I started researching and stuff like that, and then I said, I finally figured it out. I was like, okay, I'm going to cut the reeds this way. The reeds need to be this thickness. They need to be a little bit thicker than a goose call. And so I really got into it and I put it together. And so, and I didn't think it was going to get this big. I sell them all the way all over the nation. I've sold crane calls and game calls all over the nation and in Canada. I'm a small guy, a small shop here in Valencia, New Mexico, but I sell them all over the nation. And then so I got involved with the National Wild Turkey Federation Grand National Championship, right? And so my calls have been doing really well on the sound side, right? On the presentation side, not so well because they got to be really they got to look expensive, right?
Yeah, they
Let's
gotta
just be honest. Yeah, for the
they
auction,
gotta be kind of for those kind
bougie,
of competitions, they have to
yeah,
be beautiful but functional,
but
basically.
functional,
Yeah.
yeah. And the function, not so much, as long as it looks beautiful, right? That's what I
Yeah.
figured out finally. So I said, okay, so I almost took it, I've won some awards on it, on not what I want yet. I want that I want the national championship at least once in my life, and I'm
You'll get
working
it.
on that
You'll
this
get
year.
it. Keep going,
Yeah,
brother.
but boy, the judges' feedback was everything I needed to know that I have developed one of the best crane calls in the United States and Canada. I'm up there with the top sales, the top people out there building them. You know what I mean? And some of them have even tried to what is it called? Tried to what's the word? Troll me,
Copyright.
right?
No
They try to
troll
troll
you.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah, they try to. No, mine's trademarked and it's
Yeah,
got
no,
patent
of course.
pending. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, but they try to troll me, and I made a joke about it. I was like, bro, you don't want to troll this guy, because we're gonna see each other. You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I'm not gonna be
There will
violent.
be a time
Yeah.
and a place.
Yeah, there will be a time, and people, you know me. I mean, my family's known your family for years. You know what I
Oh,
mean?
yeah,
And
you're practically related, man. I
we're
mean,
family, pretty much. And
yeah,
so
yeah.
for me, it's like it doesn't bother me. That just means that my shit's good. You know what I mean? And there's no doubt about it. And I'm very proud of it because it's for New Mexico, by New Mexico, for New Mexico. Those are the calls I make. And you know, I'm working on yours. I have a beautiful freaking I didn't paint it today, a long box for you. I didn't paint it today because man, if the sand gets in it, I have to sand it like more than normal, to get
Oh,
a
yeah.
nice gloss on it. So I got that one for you because I want you to be able to have that one for your turkey hunt.
Cool.
But yeah, I never thought
I
it
have
was.
a bag of goodies for you too, man.
Yeah, I never thought, and I got some diaphragm calls for you as well.
Oh, nice.
I never. I'll tell you the secret to the I put the secret diaphragm call in there for the turkeys that they drives them crazy in the Rio is the blue one. It
Okay,
drives
cool.
them freaking absolutely crazy. It's a triple reed cutter call, unduplicable. It's just insane that I've been working on, and it is absolutely one of the best calls. And I'm very honored that you'd use it. and this year, because it just drives them nuts. But
Oh yeah,
as for
I call my birds in with diaphragm calls. I mean,
dude,
that's basically all I use.
yeah, I mean, I've tried them, I locate them,
Yeah,
and
well,
but
yeah, I use the box to locate, but and my weak
yeah,
bones. But
you have to have an arsenal, and you're the one that taught me that you can't just
yeah,
have one call. You have to have multiple calls.
you
You have
gotta
to.
have a little bit of everybody. You gotta have some of your stuff. Need a little bit of
Some of
Gary's stuff.
some of Gary's stuff.
Need some an HS strut
Well,
little
I'll tell you right
call
now,
or something. It's just
my box call ain't nothing like Gary's call. His box call, Gary's box call right now. I'm gonna tell you right now, if you're anywhere, that thing's gonna call some birds in there. If whatever he does with those box calls, I'm telling you right now, his
it's
box call tortures mine. You know what I mean? And that's okay. We're teammates, but we're from New Mexico. He's the godfather of turkey calls, dude. I'll tell you that right now.
yeah.
There,
Gary Ball is the godfather of turkey calls in New Mexico.
he there is no hands. He is the best in New Mexico. I'll tell you that right now.
I agree.
And
He's the best.
and I'm not afraid to say that because I've used his calls and I'll use his calls, continue to use his calls in different areas, right? So, but
Yeah.
his box call is insane, dude. Like
Those long boxes that he has.
oh my gosh.
I don't have a long box. I got a one
Yeah.
sided
That
custom
that one
box
is
he
that
made me,
one's
but
deadly.
it's
It's
sweet.
deadly that one's deadly for the Manzanos, dude. I'm telling you right now. There's a
Yeah.
reason why it's called Manzano Madness Game
Madness.
Calls, dude. I'm I'm telling you, dude. And that thing, dude, we were up there. That's the when I
You
used his
hit that, and
call
then
one
like
year.
50 birds went off up the canyon.
Dude, yeah, that's that one time. Yeah, that's that one time where I was like, "What the heck, dude?" They were all over and freaking. And I was with Primo. I was with Primo Mike, and he was like, "Let's." I was like, "Dude, just hold on 1 second." And they were just circling all over the place, man. And it was insane because his box calls are. I don't know what it does, bro. But if you're gonna hunt anywhere other than the Rio Grande or even the Rio Grande, it doesn't
Yeah.
matter. But
He's
if you
got
want a good,
some he's got
yeah,
some
he's got something
calls
special, man.
that he's trying to make them sound a little raspy like these Rios.
Yeah,
So he's got some stuff that it's pretty good
he's
there. Then I
he's
think a lot to do with his unique sound that he gets out of his calls is that he takes stumps home from the forest.
yeah, he does. He uses local
I
call. He
mean,
uses local.
Gary will walk around. We'll be turkey hunting, and we'll spend half the day looking for wood.
Yeah, he's
And then
awesome,
he'll
dude.
remember where it's at during our hunt. He'll go back and get it, and he'll turn
Yeah,
calls. He'll turn it into calls.
yeah, he will, man. His
Yeah,
his turkey calls are they're good, bro.
yeah. But
Get
we'll
yourself.
talk about that with Gary next week. I wanted to hear
Yeah,
about
yeah.
you. No, I'm looking forward. I'm looking forward to. I really want to put your calls to work and get some birds on the ground and some stuff this year with some Nuevo Mexico Cazadores gear,
Oh
man.
yeah, dude.
And
It's
looking forward to it. Really am. And then I don't know. Did you still want to try to meet up tomorrow, or you want to shoot?
yeah. In the morning, I could do the morning. What time?
Mm,
If the weather's gonna be fine. I mean, if it's gonna be too cold, next week is also a good timing too. Unless you don't have time next week because it's gonna be nice and warm next week.
Next week I got stuff going on Saturday,
Okay.
but I could do Sunday. Let's play it by ear. I'll text you in the morning and watch the
Yeah.
weather.
Let me know.
Not, I didn't get to work today, so I have to do that tomorrow. But I have a few hours in the morning if it's like you
If
said,
it's
cold.
Yeah, if it's
Yeah.
fair. I mean, where my bones start hurting.
Hey man, like I'm falling apart over here, buddy. I tell you what, it's rough, man. I had crushed disc. My ass always hurts. My foot is always numb. My heel is crushed. I
Son
got
of a gun.
my left shoulder is wasted from falling off a roof. I wiped out on my dirt bike last week and screwed up my right shoulder, but I can shoot a shotgun, so that's all that matters.
That's the most
But
important
yeah,
thing.
the
And the
cold
draws are
weather,
coming up.
forget it, man. It's getting old. Stuff is for the birds. I mean,
Yeah, it
yeah.
is.
If you were crazy like we were in your youth, you're feeling it now.
Oh yeah, dude. I didn't wear helmets. I didn't. You know what I mean? I didn't. I thought I was Superman when I was a kid.
Yeah,
Trying to
I
jump
was
the
a dude.
ditch.
As I was here, hold my beer. Watch this. I'm that guy.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, and that's what I was saying the other day. I was like, when I said that message about the boat guy, man, I was like, if that dude would have got on my boat at 21 years old, man, he would, like I said, he would have
I
got
didn't.
knocked out.
I didn't even see that, and you sent me that. I seen that on your social media, and I was like, "What the hell?" I had to Google it to see, because it was all over social media. I
Yeah,
didn't know what the hell it was talking about, and I had to Google it. And that asshole captain
yeah,
was telling that teenager some shit, and jumped on his boat. Oh yeah, he would have got a left hook and got you want to go swimming.
he would have got slept, dude. You know
I
what I mean? He would have.
mean, you're supposed to be respectful, and
Yeah,
even if you're an older charter captain, a guide, maybe he should show the kid how to be respectful.
yeah. I think
And then
that's what we're losing.
that would be the proper way to approach a situation like that, instead of jumping all over his butt.
For me, you know
You
what?
know?
For me, I mind my own business when I'm out there. You know,
Yeah, I mean,
that's what I do. If I see if I see something, I just mind my business. You know what I mean? I don't I if I try to stay away from, well, I guess for me, I go into the places nobody's gonna go anyways. You
try
know,
to.
I'm yeah, try to. I'm you had to pull me out of one place one time, remember?
Yeah, I remember that one.
You're the only one that would have been able to find me. I couldn't call anybody else, you know what I mean? Because
Yeah.
they wouldn't have known where I was going. You know
No,
what I'm saying?
I know all those roads, man.
Yeah.
I've
I
been
was like,
all
hey, I
over.
need help, dude. I'm stuck out here. But yeah,
You
I
look
know. I mean,
you look at my onyx hunt and the middle Rio Grande Valley and the drones over there and the Manzanos. There's like 5 million markers.
that's how I am.
All down the river, all in the drones, all in the sands, water, parking spot, trail, game trails, cameras. It's like you
Hey,
look
I
at it,
know.
and everybody's like, "Holy crap, dude! How many markers? How many waypoints do you have?" And it's like,
I know. It's like,
I mark everything.
yeah, it's like I know because I get those. Hey, I found something over here. Check this out. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
And
I
I'm like,
know.
hey, dude, I just shot my turkey over here. Here's where they're
Yeah,
at.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I think, but that's one thing that I really cherish about you is that you've sent me to all your spots and I've never given them up to anybody.
Thank you,
And
man.
that should go for anybody else too, man. If somebody's willing to share the spot, have respect for that spot, and that's the way it is. Like, shoot, I'd always ask you, hey, is there animals out here? And you would tell me, yeah, they should be around here, some area. And I
Yeah,
didn't expect anything, you know what I mean? And before Onyx and all that, you would tell me where to go and what to look for. And I'm the same way too. I'm like, well, they are out there, but you're gonna have to find them. And they don't want to hear that. They want to hear, well, they're gonna be right here every day of the week, at
yeah,
4 o'clock in the morning.
yeah.
Doesn't
Drive
work
over
that way.
here, and that deer you're looking for will be walking over that ridge at 10 a.m.
Yeah, 10 a.m. Yeah, no,
Yeah,
that's not gonna happen.
yeah. No,
So and
gotta
so
put the work in.
every
I
yeah,
wanted to
every
see.
area.
I share with you because I wanted you to be successful, and you're respectful. I mean,
Yeah,
that's hard to find with a friend, much less a hunting partner these
yeah,
days.
exactly.
Really
And
is.
they're old places. And so I'm like, well, I don't always go over there, but when I need to pull an ace out of my sleeve, I know exactly where to try. And a lot of the times I'm like, oh crap, they're right here or whatever. But yeah, we're losing a lot of respect in the hunting industry. I think for me, politically correctness is ridiculous. All of these social rules that everybody has, not shooting a 4 pointer or this and that. For me, it's the trophy is based on the person's ability to and what they had to go through to get it right. Um, dog people criticizing trappers, hunters, other hunters criticizing other hunters because they use a crossbow or this and that or this and that. I think that's all petty for me. And when somebody pops up with something like that, I'm just like, I tell them the truth. I'm like, we don't have filters. I don't have a filter. You don't have a filter.
No, I don't have a filter, and I don't stand for any drama either.
Yeah, I mean, neither. I'm like, well, whatever. And
Yeah,
so, for me, it's like, I wish they would stop it and just encourage people to get out there and hunt and support the values of hunting in general, no matter if it's trapping or whatever. And I enjoy all of them because I'm part of all of that, part of the Houndsman Association. I love watching dogs work. I love the trappers, what they do, and the conservation aspect of it. I don't care if you hunt with the crossbow or you hunt with with a 300 Win Mag. I don't really care what rifle you use. For me, as
yeah.
long as it,
If you're shooting a 6.5,
yeah, yeah, and
that's
that's
the one that gets the most all the time. The
yeah,
6.5
6.5
especially.
Creedmoor is a nasty round. You
Yeah, it
know what I
is.
mean? It really is. It was meant for do your history on what those firearms were built for, and a lot of these firearms that are coming out were built for military, right? For long range distance shooting. and to be able to be compatible with everything. And so me, I use a 6.5 SPC for all deer and all antelope, and man, I
It's a
haven't had
great
any
round.
problems.
You've taken deer and antelope
You know,
with your rifle.
2200, yeah, I killed an antelope with them, and 2200 feet per second, and
Yeah.
not a problem, and I used iron sights, not because I wanted to for my oryx. It's because my the other rifle I was using, my scope got knocked, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I had no choice. And so when they the ability to shoot long distance, and just who cares, bro? Just get out there and have fun, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and those long distance shooters and stuff is cool. I mean, I shoot a 308, but
That's the best round.
I really won't try to touch anything past 300 or 400 yards with it.
Yeah, me neither.
And even then, I'm comfortable at 2. So that's what I always try to get at. And I mean, it's a great round, and it's been around for a long time, and that's just what I prefer.
308's the best all around. 308, 30-06, there's nothing wrong with those. If you don't know if you hear too much bull, to anybody who's listening, if you hear too much bull crap about what rifles to use, get a 30-06 or a 308. You can't go wrong with that, dude, at all whatsoever.
Yeah.
My grandpa used to use a 30-30 and dropped everything from freaking elk to deer to whatever with a 30-30, dude.
I have a 30-30.
He just knew how to use it.
I've
dropped
elk with that 30-30 and deer and hogs and all kinds of stuff within.
That's a good round. Yeah, that's what he was comfortable with.
It's a great brush gun, man. Great gun.
Yeah, I mean, you're not going to touch anything at 800 yards. You know what I mean?
Why would my grandfather? You kind of lose the intimacy of hunting when you're touching something out to 800 or 1,000 yards.
For me, everybody knows I can call those elk in within 20, 30 yards. It's just my I'm not a good bow hunter. But that's because I'm missing. That's because I'm missing fingers. You know what I mean? But still, yeah. That's my excuse, and I'm going to stick with it. But
have a lighter hand. You should be more accurate.
Yeah, I should be more accurate. It's stiff, so it should hold it better. But
yeah, right.
For me, I missed my elk last year, and I was so disappointed. But I can find them.
Hey, you shot at one.
I did, and I missed.
Shot at one, and
totally missed, man. And I think that's
all worth it. It was all worth that miss. And even though you're kicking yourself in the butt, shoulda, woulda, coulda afterwards, you'll never forget it. You'll never forget the experience.
All it proved is my elk calls are good.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
That's exactly what it proved, And so for me, it's the fundamentals. Once you lose the fundamentals of hunting, you might as well just hang it up. At that point, you're probably not even enjoying yourself either.
Yeah, exactly. Well, Rick, we're going on about an hour now, man. I think we've had a pretty good little conversation tonight. Appreciate you coming on.
I appreciate you having me, man.
Yeah, and we'll have to get together, and I'm going to try to get Gary on next week, and we're going to have to probably get all 3 of us on here eventually, and invite some guests. I know I have some guests. Each of us have some guests in mind we'd like to get on here, and so we'll be reaching out to a few people and for our next shows coming up. But let's just end it on that note tonight. And thank you for coming on, Rick. Appreciate it. And I'll talk to you tomorrow, buddy.
Yep, I'll see you tomorrow, man. Appreciate you guys.
Okay.
And everybody check us out on YouTube, because we're gonna have a great year this year.
Yeah, it's gonna
be fun.
A fun year coming from High Desert Outdoors this year. A lot of action.
Most definitely.
Yeah, most definitely. All right, man. Peace out, Rick. Take care.
Thanks, buddy. Bye.
Bye. All right. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in tonight to the High Desert Hunting New Mexico podcast. This is our first podcast and a series that will be starting every Saturday at 7:00. We'll probably be coming on, and we'll have different guests on next week. I'm planning to try to get another team member of our pro staff at High Desert Outdoors, Mr. Gary Roybal. He's going to come on, and we're going to have some live turkey talk. We've been sharing some of his videos on our social media about different calls and techniques used to use them calls to make them efficient. So everybody, thank you for tuning in. We appreciate everybody's support. Without you, we couldn't do what we do. Keep it real and New Mexico true. Have a good evening.